Yo, it's your boy Ryan, Northwest Sports Fanatics, back at you with a new video. Today is Wednesday, September 3rd, 2025, with your boy Ryan and the Northwest Sports Fanatics. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, smash that like button either now or on your way out. Donate to your boy if you can, Cash App $ORION NWSF, or the YouTube Super Chat right here. We got the Seattle Mariners versus the Tampa Bay Rays. First pitch is going to be here in roughly 5 minutes. So let's cue up the music, take a look at the thumb, and let's get into the starting lineups. Happy Wednesday, everyone. On the thumb, on the left, you know who it is. The third baseman stud, hitting home runs left and right, Eugenio Suarez. And on the right, one of the best up-and-coming players that plays third base as well. 40 home runs, 100 ribbies, at 20 years old, and he isn't done, Junior Caminero. Now let's get into the starting lineups here first for the visiting Seattle Mariners. Leading off for the Mariners in left field, Randy Arozarena. Batting second, DHing today for Seattle, big dumper Cal Raleigh. Batting third, playing center field, Julio Rodriguez. Batting cleanup, batting fourth, first baseman Josh Naylor. Batting fifth, playing third base, good vibes only, Eugenio Suarez. Batting sixth, playing second base, Jorge Polanco. Batting seventh, playing right field, Dominic Ganzone. Batting eighth, catching today for Seattle, Mitch Garver. And batting ninth, playing shortstop for Seattle, J.P. Crawford. And on the mound with an 8-6 record, an ERA of 3.94, it is George Kirby. And now let's get into the starting lineups for the home Tampa Bay Rays. Leading off for the Rays in left field, Chandler Simpson. Batting second, DHing this afternoon, Yandy Diaz. Batting third, playing second base, Brandon Lowe. Batting cleanup, batting fourth, third baseman, Junior Caminero. Batting fifth, playing right field, Josh Lowe. Batting sixth, playing center field, Jake Mangum. Batting seventh, catching today for the Rays, Hunter Fiducia. Batting eighth, playing shortstop for Tampa Bay, Carson Williams. And batting ninth, playing first base, Bob Seymour. And on the mound for the Rays with a 7-4 record, an ERA of 2.85, it is Adrian Hauser. And we're going to be shooting for 100 likes, 100 on the Dono train, and 5 to 15 subs. We hit those numbers and we'll go to our secondary goals. And again, the road trip has not been very kind to us, right? And again, this is something that we definitely, need to improve. It hasn't been ideal. You want your starting pitching and your bullpen, your defense and the hitting to all come together. This is a must-win game. We're not going to get swept. It's kind of sad that, the same thing pretty much is, happening to us, in previous series, like in that Guardian series as well. But we got to get it done. And hopefully George Kirby will have a solid outing today. And hopefully the bats will come alive, 2 to 4 home runs, 5 runs, 7 to 10 hits in that general range. And again, hopefully we can end up getting the dub. We'll have the day off for the Mariners tomorrow, but I will be doing the NFL season kickoff with the Eagles and the Cowboys on the live stream. And then we got a 3-game set on the road against the Atlanta Braves. So again, we got to get the dub today. We can't afford to get swept. I mean, even winning 1 out of 3 isn't good enough at this stage in the year, but it's better than getting swept. So we just have to take it game in and game out, and then just hope, once we end up getting home after the Atlanta series, then we can start to gain a little bit of momentum and making up a little bit of ground that we lost here on this road trip. Marine Bean in the building. What's good? Viper in the building. What's good? All day in the building. What's good? Let's get it, baby. Adrian Hauser on the mound, 7-4 record, ERA of 2.85. So I wouldn't expect a whole lot, on him. We have to shoot for 1 to 3 runs within the first 5 innings. And then, if it ends up being a little light, we may have to wait for Hauser to exit. But again, hopefully we can get some good action here early. First pitch, Hauser to Randy. Randy crushes it deep into center field. But then Lowe comes into right field, and that is 1 away. And hopefully we'll get, individuals to be a little bit more patient in the box. And I get it. You want to be able to try to take advantage of that first pitch strike of a pitcher trying to get ahead of the count. But again, for a guy like Randy, we need him to work the count. I want to see pitch 4, pitch 5, and wait for that good one. And again, that's too easy in and out for the Rays. 1 away. Next up, DHing, big dumper, Cal Raleigh. First pitch, Cal Raleigh does the same thing, back to center field, all the way back to the dirt and the wall, and that is 2 away. And we just mentioned how we want guys to work the count. Randy, first pitch, an out. Cal Raleigh, first pitch, fly out again. And hopefully we don't get it with Julio here, because how are we going to be able to get Adrian Hauser out if we're going to have 3 pitches and 3 outs in the first inning? Not ideal. We'll get a few predictions correct, obviously, like we always do, like the back-to-back home runs that we called here last night with Cal and Julio. But again, it's got to be a team effort, and hope Julio doesn't swing at the first pitch and end up flying out just like Randy and Cal did. We can't afford that. And he swings at the first pitch, slow dribbler, throw to first, and that's the easiest 1-2-3 inning of Adrian Hauser's life. Again, and when you've already gotten beat in the first 2 games in the series, you would hope that the Mariners would learn. But again, I guess they didn't get the memo. And 3 pitches, 3 outs, 2 pop-ups and a ground out. Down goes Randy, down goes Cal, down goes Julio. Not ideal, but again, hopefully that'll be something that, as the future at-bats, end up progressing in this matchup. We can't afford, to have 3 pitches and 3 outs, especially if we're trying to get Hauser out early. Otherwise, if Hauser ends up having easy outs like that, hell, he might pitch into the 7th inning, and we could possibly get swept. So hopefully things will be better for the rest of the hitters going into the 2nd inning and beyond. On the mound for the Mariners, started off 0-3, missing the first 50-plus games with shoulder inflammation during spring training, and has got his record all the way to 8-6. So you got to think, he's 8-3 after starting 0-3, ERA of 3.94. We need somebody in the pitching staff to be good. Normally, we trust Brian Wu. Normally, we trust Logan Gilbert. Normally, we trust Brian Wu. Now, we understand that Bryce Miller is coming off an injury. The trust isn't there just yet. And we don't trust at all Luis Castillo. And then with the bullpen, we would hope we could trust Brash, Bizzardo, Spire, and Mooney. But those guys haven't really been trustworthy either. And the crazy thing is Carlos Vargas might be actually one of the more trustworthy individuals on the team at the moment. Which is a little wild to say, but it does, stay true. Let's see what we got here with George Kirby in the bottom of the 1st inning. Leading off, left fielder Chandler Simpson. On deck, DHing today, Yandy Diaz, and batting 3rd, 2nd baseman Brandon Lowe. Yeah, if you saw the Framber Valdez, with that young catcher, and the catcher told him not to pitch, and Framber pitched it anyways, gave up that big home run, and then ends up hitting his catcher in the next pitch. I wouldn't want to be a part of that organization. I wouldn't want a player like that. So again, it feels like the Astros got some, bad cancers in their particular dugout. So, eventually good things are going to happen. First pitch, high and away. 1-0 pitch. J.P. Crawford with the slow dribbler, throw to first, and Simpson is out, and that is 1 away. And again, the Rangers are going to catch up. And again, there's nothing that we can do. All we can do is just worry about what we're doing. The Astros and the Rangers, they're going to go up and down like us as well. And we just got to put our head down and take care of business. Next up is Yandy Diaz. First pitch to Diaz. Takes a strike right down the middle, 0-1 count. Yankees, Red Sox, Mariners drive to the playoffs for the wild card. But again, I do believe that we will make up some ground. Pitches low and away, 1 ball and 1 strike from Kirby to Diaz. Once we end up getting home from the Atlanta road trip, I think that's when we're going to play our best baseball. Once we come home, and again, got a couple series at home, a couple series on the road, and then at the end of the year, we're going to end at home. Not ideal that it's going to be against the Dodgers, but we'll see where it goes. Pitches outside with the sinker. 2 balls and 1 strike to Yandy Diaz. 97 miles an hour off that sinker there. 2-1 pitch inside. 3 balls and 1 strike from Kirby to Diaz. Three-one pitch. Crushes it into right field. I hope that's foul. Fair ball. Damn it. And strong throw to second, and Diaz standing up, safe. Nice job by Yandy Diaz. Yeah, but the thing is, Marine Bean, you can look at that particular stat, but you tell me how often we get hits off first pitches. Lately, again, some guys might be able to get a first pitch hit, but it's not going to be as often as all the other teams that are doing it against us. So, that might be the case for some of the hitters, but that doesn't mean every hitter in the lineup should be swinging at a first pitch. Again, it ends up tending to lead to easy outs for the other team. And not every first pitch is going to be right down the middle. It used to be like that back in the day, but depending on who the batter is, like Julio Rodriguez, they know they can pitch him high and away, low and away. And at the beginning of the year, he was going to chase. They weren't going to go right down the middle. So it may be for certain individuals, they can take advantage of a potential first pitch strike down the middle, but that doesn't mean every single first pitch is going to be right down the middle. Most of the time it isn't. And another base hit by George Kirby given up. And not an ideal start here for the Mariners. 3 pitches and 3 outs. And then we got back-to-back hits by Diaz and Lowe. And now we got runners on base threatening to score already here in the bottom of the first inning. Next up, the best player on the team, third baseman, 40 home runs, 100 ribbies, 20 years old, one of the best up-and-coming third basemen, Junior Caminero. I think that you can still find a pitch, later in the, pitching order down the road. You want to be able to work the count, because again, you're never going to be able to draw any walks, again, if you're swinging at the first pitch and then going for that hit, again, and once in a while, you're going to get a single and a double and a home run off a first pitch, but, you're giving the advantage to the pitcher, not necessarily the hitters in the lineup. First pitch to Caminero is high and away, 1-0 count. 1-0 pitch, right down in the corner of the zone, gets the strike call there with the sinker, 97 miles an hour, 1 ball and 1 strike, with runners on the corners at first and third with 1 out. 1-1 pitch, and it just seems like everyone hits against us, huh? And that's going to bring in a run. And it's 1-0 Rays. And it's crazy, man, when we're on the road. It doesn't matter what we pitch, it feels like. It doesn't matter if it's Brian Wu, Logan Gilbert, George Kirby, Bryce Miller, Luis Castillo, Brash, Pizzardo, Spire, Mooney. It just seems like no matter what they throw, every single hitter, it doesn't matter what team it's on. It's just they're absolutely destroying us lately. And again, a lot of it is mental. When you go on the road, you have to believe that you're going to win. And I truly do believe that a lot of the Mariner players on the road think they're going to lose, and they're playing like it. You have to believe that you can actually win on the road. And if you don't believe that you're going to win, you're going to lose. You have to have the belief, and it can't just be one or two guys. It has to be the team. Big problems here early. Bottom of the first inning, 1-0 Rays. Runners at first and second and one out. We need a double play desperately. First pitch to Lowe is high and away, 1-0 count. 1-0 pitch, takes a strike looking in the zone. 1 ball and 1 strike to Josh Lowe. I think it's a combination of things. A lot of it is mental and confidence, and again, we just haven't really been a very good road team. But honestly, every single team in MLB isn't good on the road except the Brewers. So, it's just that we're getting exposed. We're not, really being able to, keep our standard of pitching up to its norm. The bullpen has been choking, and the hitting hasn't really been the greatest. And again, normally the hitting would help us out, getting the home runs and getting to 5 runs. And so, if the pitching ends up being a little shitty early on, we can bounce back. But lately, and there's another hit that Kirby gives up. Unbelievable. It's like, what are we playing here? Soft pitch and going into third, safe. But this definitely feels like a team that is not motivated. And hopefully we can end up getting the bats to come alive, because that might be the only thing that saves us here, before we ultimately, hopefully, don't get swept. But it's like, no matter what the pitch is, slider, knuckle curve, fastball, doesn't matter where it is, in the strike zone, out of the strike zone. Seems like every single hitter is just having just an easy time. Like I said, every single team that plays us is uber confident. And again, I just can't wait for us to be able to get back home. But we got to go on the road to Atlanta, and hopefully we don't get swept by them as well. But not the start that we want to be able to see out of one of our, supposed strong pitchers. And again, you got Mitch Garver, behind the plate today, not Cal Raleigh. And so that might have something to do with it as well. Mitch is not going to call, the same type of game as Cal, and it shows, when he ends up being behind the plate. And also, I think the Mariners are very stupid by not implementing Harry Ford or Leo Rivas. That would have been the one thing that, that could have got the team excited, that you put Harry behind the plate, or you had him DH, as well as implementing Leo Rivas, into the lineup. Sometimes you got to be able to mix it up. And it seems like they're just continuing to kind of run the, pretty much the same lineup for the most part. And again, if it hasn't been working, why do we continue to keep doing the same thing when it's not working? Sometimes you need a little bit of a lift. And I know if I was managing this team, I would have implemented those guys. It's like, oh, you got the call up to the big leagues, and we haven't even seen Harry in 2 days. So, and again, I think that just that simple fact, if they would have implemented Harry Ford and Rivas in the lineup, it would have given us a little bit more juice. We would have been able to bunt more, steal bags, and the defense would be good. And obviously, it would get the fan base a little hyped. And I think we would play better. But, again, that's Dan Wilson for you. Runners at first and third with 1 out, 2-0 Rays, 0-1 pitch. And check swing foul towards third base. No balls and 2 strikes from Kirby to Mangum. But again, you're going to have peaks and valleys with this team. As anybody knows, if you've been a fan of this team for 10, 20, 30, 40 years plus, it's not always going to be pretty. It's always going to be a little rough sometimes in August and September. And we just have to battle through it. And we'll see who really wants to step up to try to get this team to the playoffs. 0-2 pitch and another hit right up the middle. And George Kirby is fucking terrible. And that brings in another run. And we thought Castillo was bad. And again, doesn't matter who it is. Castillo, Kirby, Gilbert, Wu, Miller, all of them are playing terrible on the road. All of their ERAs doubled when they're on the road. And it definitely shows that this team is not confident right now. The pitchers aren't confident. The batters aren't confident. Manager isn't confident. And again, we got to be able to, have somebody step up. 3-0 Rays. We're on the cusp of already getting swept, and it's the first inning. Jesus. Should have implemented Harry Ford and Leo Rivas. You got to be able to understand, how to make this team tick. First pitch to Fiducia, fouls it off. 0-1 count. Yeah, you'll definitely be seeing Vargas pitching today. But the thing is Vargas has actually been good. You know, he's been better than a lot of these starters and other guys in the pen, you know. And they made a move for another guy in the pen, obviously, this morning. Picked up another individual, but I'm not sure if that's going to help us out based on how we've been playing lately. With Ferguson and Gabe as lefties, not doing very well. 0-1 pitch. Low and at the knees. 1 ball and 1 strike to Fiducia. Season's not over yet. 1-1 pitch, low and at the knees. 2 balls and 1 strike from Kirby to Fiducia. Still got a long ways to go, because you got to think, if the Mariners are going to struggle, there's going to be other teams that struggle too. So it's not like every single team that's with us in the wild card or in the American League is going to be winning a bunch of games, and we're the only team that's going to continue losing. You know, we will definitely be in the mix at the end. Takes a strike, swinging low and away. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Kirby to Fiducia. And we can't give up any more runs. Usually it's 3 runs or less for the starting pitching. 2-2 pitch. Wild pitch. And that advances the runners, and it shows you Kirby and Garver are not on the same page. And again, this Kirby start reminds me of one of the first couple starts where he came off the injury. You know, and it wasn't very good. And you definitely don't see any confidence or control out of George Kirby. And, you know, if you're going to pitch Garver back there behind the plate, you might as well have let Harry Ford start. You've already been on a losing streak. I mean, what do you have to lose at this point? Nothing. You know, you have everything to gain. And you got to give Harry a time to start at some point, right? Unless you're just going to have him DH once in a while. And right up the middle. And Randy tagging up, throwing home. Tag and safe. And did he drop the ball? Golly. Come on, Garver. If that was Cal Raleigh, he would have been able to make that tag. 4-0 Rays. Unbelievable. Get Mitch out of there. Let Harry Ford play. I mean, if the guy can't play defense and he can't hit and he can't even tag a guy out, I mean, Randy actually hustled on that play and made a pretty good throw. Jesus, Mitch. And we do have a good pitching staff. It just, you know, we're not good on the road right now. .40 Rays. Pitch fouled off by Carson Williams. No balls and 1 strike from the Mariners and the Rays. Williams in the box. And George Kirby on the mound. And another line drive there, but at least Gino catches it for out number 3. Well, we dug ourselves into a pretty big hole here early. 4-0 Rays at the end of the first inning, but the game isn't over yet. But again, we're definitely going to have to try to hit 2 to 4 home runs, get some ribbies, and hopefully, you know, pitching will be better than what we saw there. But definitely George does not look good here today. Let's see who's up next for the Mariners here in the top of the second. Next up for the Mariners in the 4-hole, Josh Naylor. Batting second on deck, third baseman Eugenio Suarez. And batting third, second baseman Jorge Polanco. Yeah, but you got to understand, again, with this team, it hasn't been built like this. It's not like we've been a team that's gone to the playoffs every single year in and year out, and then we end up, shitting the bed. It's like, we've only had 4 good teams in 40 years, and I highly doubt a lot of the people in the room were even fans back in the day. Again, there's only going to be a few of us that have been around for 30 years plus, and again, if you're not mentally tough, this team is not for you. Again, there are going to be peaks and valleys, and we're going to be a good team from 2022 to 2042. But again, only being, solid 40 years out of 40, I don't think very many people can handle that. And again, if you're not mentally tough, again, this is not going to be the team for you moving forward. Top of the second, 4-0 Rays. First pitch in there to Naylor, takes a strike looking, 0-1 count. Oh, 1 pitch, fouled off. No balls and 2 strikes from Hauser to Naylor. But again, it's not going to be just the players. The manager is responsible as well. And, again, you call up Harry Ford, you call up Leo Rivas, you barely even use them. What's the point of calling guys up if you're not going to use them? Especially when you're struggling. Makes sense to give them a shot. 0-2 pitch. Low and at the knees, 1 ball and 2 strikes to Josh Naylor. What's good, brother? We got the NFL season starting tomorrow, which will be exciting. Eagles and Cowboys. I'll be doing the live stream for that tomorrow. Pitch is low and at the knees with the changeup. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Hauser to Naylor. 2-2 pitch, fouled off towards the first base line. 2 balls, 2 strikes from Hauser to Naylor. Two pitch. And there goes Naylor's bat. And that one goes foul. All the way into the Rays dugout. Come on, Naylor. Yeah, but there's no point of bitching and moaning on top of everything that's going on. We got to be as positive as possible. We already know how this team operates, and again, it's going to be a team effort. Things are going to be good in some games, and, again, we're going to play like shit in others. This is something that, we're going to have to battle as Naylor strikes out for out number 1. It's not like any of us could do any better, for all the people bitching and moaning. It's the hardest sport to play. It's not easy to be able to be great at baseball consistently. Next up is third baseman Eugenio Suarez. Let's go, Gino. Good vibes only, baby. Somebody's got to get the party started at some point. First pitch in there for a strike, 0-1 count. Oh, 1 pitch in there on the corner for a strike. On the line with the sinker from Hauser, 95 miles an hour. No balls and 2 strikes from Hauser to Gino. 0-2 pitch. Check swing. Did he go? No, he did not. Slider outside. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Eugenio Suarez. One-two pitch. Big swing and a miss, and down goes Gino, and that is 2 away. Great start there by Adrian Hauser. 7-4 record, ERA of 2.85 in 2025. Next up is second baseman Jorge Polanco. And we need a little bit of juice. We need to be able to get off that 0 and get to 1 sooner than later. So that way we can at least try to compete. First pitch right down the middle. 0-1 count. Oh, 1 pitch. Fouled off towards that third base line. No balls and 2 strikes to Jorge Polanco. Adrian Hauser on the mound. Jorge Polanco in the box. I mean, we're not really used to, having so many categories, be disappointing. It's usually, pitching might be good for the starters, but then maybe we can't hit, but then the bullpen ends up being decent or the defense is pretty good. But, as of late, really the only thing that's been pretty good for the Mariners for the most part is defense. Hitting hasn't been the greatest, but pitching is really what has been costing us games on the road more than anything. Starting pitching and bullpen pitching. Every other game, it seems like we can hit, and the defense has been pretty consistent. And there we go. Nice base knock there by Jorge Polanco. There we go. And Polo going in for a double, and he's out. I don't know if they're going to replay that or not. And I think in that particular situation, also with, Dan Wilson, I know that we want to try to be able to move guys over, from first to second to third. But, Polo and our players need to have better awareness. Don't try to stretch a single into a double. I get it. We're down 4-0, but you're costing us momentum and, an overall belief when you end up getting out that way. And we haven't been able to see very good base running by Randy and Polo as of late. So, getting a hit and then having it turn into nothing, it's just when it rains, it pours. And again, we just have to wait until the road trip is over and hope that we can figure it out when we get back home. Let's see who's up next here for the Rays in the bottom of the second inning. Next up for the Rays in the 9-hole, first baseman Bob Seymour. Batting second, 0-for-1 left fielder Chandler Simpson. And batting third, 1-for-1 with a run, DHing Yandy Diaz. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. And again, you can't compare the Mariners to the Dodgers or the Yankees or anybody else. Again, it's like we're not one of those teams, that goes to the playoffs every year and chokes. It's like we haven't had that many good years, and we finally started to put together, quality pieces starting in 2022. So everything that happened prior to that was the past, and again, we're trying to move forward. And so if you're looking at, the last 40 plus years, it hasn't been that great. But if you look from 2022 to now, you're starting to see something special brewing. But again, not everything is going to fall into place right away. All we got to do is just try to be as positive as possible, knowing, kind of what this team is. We're going to have ups, we're going to have downs, and again, there's going to be peaks, there's going to be valleys, but eventually we'll get it figured out, but again, we're not a good road team and we're getting exposed. Winning only one game out of 3 or getting swept is not ideal. But again, this is just kind of the reality that we have to be living in at the moment. First pitch in there to Seymour, takes a strike looking, 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch, knuckle curve into the dirt. 1 ball and 1 strike from Kirby to Seymour. One pitch, and a nice dribbler into left field. And it doesn't seem like George really has that velocity or the location there. And again, it just seems like every single pitcher, it's like, I don't know what I'm watching. It's like almost like watching batting practice or something. Home run derby. It's like everyone is so locked in against us, against our pitching staff, starters and pen. It's frustrating. And it's not like just the best players, in the lineup that are hitting. It's like everyone, even the poor hitters. Guys in the 7, 8, 9 hole, they're hitting like they're in the 1, 2, and the 3. First pitch to Simpson. And Randy with 0 hustle into left field. And that's a foul ball, 0-1 count. Cody in the building, what's good? Bottom of the second inning, 4-0 Rays. Kirby on the mound, Simpson in the box. And again, we haven't really been down like this often. You guys are acting like, some of you in the room, like this has been something that's been happening, for the last 2 months straight, every single game. I mean, trust me, it's frustrating for people that are loyal and that have been sticking with this team. But, another base hit by George Kirby given up. Simpson singles to center, Seymour to second. There we go. Rally coin, $5 holla. Anything to be able to help us out. Stacks, racks, and a little dono train to get us going. We're at 5:95 to go. Appreciate you. Next up is Yandy Diaz. First pitch, takes a strike, looking right down the middle, 0-1 count. With a team like this, you can't get too up, or too down. You have to be even keel, which is easier said than done. But again, you have to understand where this team is at the moment. 0-1 pitch, fouled off into right field. No balls and 2 strikes from Kirby to Diaz. I mean, and it definitely is shocking to see how poorly, our good players are playing. You don't expect Kirby, Gilbert, Wu, Brash, Bizzardo, Spire, and Mooney to play like dog shit. You don't, And then on top of that, if the hitting isn't there, then it's a nightmare, right? And then Kirby gives up another hit. But it also makes you wonder, are any of the guys hurt? Is it just poor pitching, or is it mental, or is it an injury on top of it as well, But again, we're not mentally tough right now, and again, you have to believe that you're going to go in there and play well. And I honestly think when we have been on the road, when you go 2-7 on the road and you have those rain delays in Baltimore and the Little League Classic against the Mets, that was the beginning of what we're seeing right now. And we haven't recovered, from that road trip. There's like a hangover effect. And every single road trip since then, we're playing kind of the same way, which is not ideal when we're trying to be able to make the wild card or make the playoffs. Now we got bases loaded with no outs. George Kirby looking fucking terrible. 17 to get to the halfway point. Let's get there, baby. Bottom of the second inning, 4-0 Rays. 1-0 pitch. Big swing and a miss by Brandon Lowe. 1 ball and 1 strike from Kirby to Lowe. Come on, George, wake up. 1-1 pitch. And on top of that, that's low in the dirt. 2 balls and 1 strike from Kirby to Lowe. And again, we haven't necessarily seen all our great players be shitty at the same time. When's the last time we actually seen every, player play bad at the same time? I mean, this is not the most ideal timing, with everything going on. 2-1 pitch, low and away with the slider. 3 balls and 1 strike from Kirby to Lowe. Three-one pitch, fouled off, high and away. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes from Kirby to Lowe. Come on, George. Three-two pitch. Hit deep into center field. Julio is there. Runner tags from third. 5-0 Tampa. Unbelievable. Next up is third baseman Junior Caminero. We got to be careful here. You pitch it right down the middle to Junior, it's going to be 8-0 in a heartbeat. But it shows you, hitting is important, but not as much as pitching. Starting pitching and, bullpen pitching is so essential. And we know that we can hit as a team. But again, when you dig yourself into a 3-4-5, 0 deficit every game, you can't expect to come back, let alone win the game. First pitch takes a strike, looking high and inside, 0-1 count. And again, playing down to the competition, something the Mariners are, typically good at. When we play really good teams, we play our best ball. When we play teams that are average or below average, we get our ass kicked, and it's just unfortunate. 0-1 pitch. Big swing and a miss by Caminero. No ball, 2 strikes from Kirby to Caminero. And we would need a slow dribbler right up the middle for a double play, hopefully to get out of the inning. All day with $1. Appreciate you. Every dollar counts. Stacks, racks with the little Cactus Jack and a little dono train. Appreciate you. We're at 6:94 to go. Let's get it, baby. O2 pitch. Caminero hits it deep to center field, off the wall. Julio gets it off a bounce, throws it into the infield. JP has it. And another run scores, 6-0 Tampa. I almost feel like I'm watching like an exhibition matchup like in spring training. This doesn't really feel like a regular season game based on how we're playing. Nice hit there by Junior Caminero. Another RBI on his total here in 2025. 6-0 Rays. Next up, right fielder Josh Lowe. But again, it's a combination of Kirby not pitching well, Garver, being the catcher, and also just the belief that, can't win, and again, you have to think that no matter if it's Wu or Gilbert or Kirby, when we're on the road, even those guys doubt themselves, and we can't have that. And we made the ownership, and everyone bitches about the ownership, not spending the money, and we're 54% with the win percentage and this and that. But the last 2 years, the ownership has done their job. They picked up Randy, at the deadline, who was arguably one of the best players at that time. We got Gino and Naylor, and so they're doing their part. Now it's up to the players to do theirs, but obviously unfamiliar territory here for a lot of them, and hits low right into the back. Jesus Christ. George, what are you doing, my guy? Now we got bases loaded with 1 out. And Lowe takes one there into the back. Next up, center fielder Jake Mangum. Oh, man. I really wish we were playing, at home instead of on the road. Still, we could be down, but we wouldn't be down by this much. But again, it shows you how, baseball is really mental. It's not just physical out there, And again, if you believe that you're going to lose going into the game before it started, you're going to. And it definitely is shown when we're on the road, we feel like we're going to lose unless maybe we're playing a really good team and then we bring it. But when we play these average to below average teams, there's no effort, and the belief to win is not there. And it definitely translates to what we're seeing lately, and that 2-7 road trip starting with the Orioles was in, with the Orioles and the Mets and the Phillies. That was the beginning to what we're seeing now. It's sad. 0-1 pitch, slow dribbler, and goes home with the 4th out. And that is 2 away. We got the day off tomorrow. And then they play a 3-game set against the Braves in Atlanta. And I assume they'll play down to the competition against them. And then we'll finally be back home after the Atlanta series. But, at that point, if we get swept here and then we get swept by Atlanta, and then, depending on what the Rangers and Astros do, we're going to be digging ourselves into a pretty bad hole, but again, we still have time and enough games to get out of it. And you would assume that the Rangers and Astros are not going to go undefeated. Another base hit right up the middle. And that brings in another run. What am I watching right now? 8-0 Rays. And again, one of the worst pitching performances out of George Kirby in his career. It kind of reminds me when we played the Phillies with Logan Gilbert, the same exact thing was happening. And not really the best time to have your worst performances when we're trying to make the playoffs. Nice hit by Fiducia right up the middle. Runners now on the corners at first and third. Carson Williams in the box. And again, it's not like, oh, let's just pull him. But the thing is like Brash, Bizzardo, Spire, they haven't been good. You know, even Munoz has been a little shaky. You know, it's like, who are we going to bring in? You know, like what, Carlos Vargas? I mean, is that the only guy that we could actually bring in where we might be able to, you know, get some outs? And I mean, we might end up bringing him in momentarily and have him pitch for 2-3 innings or whatnot. But, you know, every once in a while, you're going to have a pitcher that looks terrible. And I guess today's George Kirby's career day of looking like shit. 1-0 pitch, big swing and a miss. Low and away. 1 ball and 1 strike with runners on the corners at first and third with 2 outs. 8-0 Tampa. I mean, luckily we haven't had too many games like this. You know, maybe 10 out of about like 130, you know, so far this season. So with 130 plus games, 140, you know, in that general range that we played, you know, we've only had like 10 that have been like this. But unfortunately, we've had, you know, a few of them in a row lately. And they have guys warming up in the pen already, but a little too late for that. 1-2 pitch, fouled off. Kirby on the mound, Williams in the box. But again, you know, not letting Harry Ford play, not letting Leo Rivas play. That's a part of the problem too. It's like when you call guys up, you reward them and you let them play, regardless if you're winning or not. You know, and again, if there was ever a time that you could have started Harry Ford at catcher, you know, it would have been today or even yesterday. You know, give a guy a chance to play, or at least have him DH. Same thing with Leo Rivas. Like, let them play, you know, because otherwise you call them up and then they're not even playing, and you know the team is deflated. 2-2 pitch, big strikeout for Kirby there, and Kirby is definitely gonna, you know, he'll definitely burn the tape and never want to think about this game. 8 runs, 10 hits, and we're only in the second inning. 8-0 Rays, terrible. But luckily, we still have time to be able to, you know, make the playoffs. Obviously, based on what we're seeing here today, not good, you know, but it's not like this is the last game, you know, to decide our fate to the playoffs or not. And plus, you know, it's not like the Astros and Rangers are, you know, super consistent either. You know, they're going to go through the ups and the downs as well. So if we have bad losses like this and then they lose as well, it's not as bad. It's going to be a lot more painful if we continue to lose like this and then they end up winning over and over and over, and then all of a sudden we're looking up in the standings. So you have to look at it that perspective as well. End of the second inning, 8-0 Rays. Let's see who's up next here for the M's. Next up for the M's in the 7-hole, right fielder Dominic Canzone. Batting second, catching for Seattle, Mitch Garver. And batting third, shortstop in the 9-hole, J.P. Crawford. Tight ends up. Let's go M's. Got to find a way to get some kind of runs here today. And remember, we're 73 and 66. You know, it's not like, you know, we're below 500 and we're like last place in the American League. So, I mean, when it rains, it pours. First pitch from Hauser to Canzone, low and at the knees, 1-0 count. One 0 pitch. And I know they're sticking with Garver because he's been the backup catcher all year, but he's not good. You know, and again, it's like, how do you know that Harry's not going to be as good as Garver if you don't give him a chance? You know, he's already a better hitter, and you already have more swagger and aura with Ford, you know, as, you know, being a first round pick that, you know, took a while to come up, you know. But again, this would have been a game that you could have, you know, at least had him try to see if he could handle, you know, being a catcher here in the big leagues. And, you know, and if we end up losing, I mean, the same thing probably would have happened anyways. So, but let's see if Mitch Garver can do anything here in the box, as Canzone ends up grounding out to first, and that is 1 away. Hauser on the mound, Mitch Garver in the box. First pitch, takes a strike looking, low and away, 0-1 count. Oh, 1 pitch in the zone for a strike. No balls and 2 strikes to Mitch Garver. Come on, baby. But it already, setting the tone at swinging at the first pitch, for Randy, Cal, and Julio, that set the tone, so it's, not just the pitching staff, it's the team in general, and again, baseball is very mental. And again, you have to believe that you're going to win. And unfortunately, when the Mariners are on the road, I truly believe that most of the players don't think they're going to win. And again, when we play good teams, we play up to the competition, even if it's on the road. But again, another problem by playing teams that are mid or teams that are bad, but we make them look like they're, a World Series contender. 2-2 pitch. Slow dribbler by Garver. Throw to first. And that is 2 away. Next up is shortstop J.P. Crawford. Canzone isn't leading off. It's still Randy leading off. And JP pops up into left field, and that is out number 3. But it also shows you, how badly we miss Victor Robles. Not having Victor Robles, in this lineup for the Vibes. And again, Dan Wilson, this is his first time being a manager. He doesn't know what he's doing, and it clearly shows. You know what I mean? Like, if it was me, it's like Leo Ribas and Harry Ford should be playing. And again, when you're in this mode, it's not going to hurt to give these guys a shot to at least produce. You let Ribas come in when we were down 10-0. What did he do? He hits a 2-run blast, and then you don't even reward him by letting him play in the next game. Like, and these are things that, good managers recognize. You have to play with a hot hand, just because it's a guy that was in AAA, but he's actually one of the guys that probably should have been on the team the whole year. His stats have actually been pretty good. He can hit, he can defend, he can steal bags. And again, he's underrated. But again, if you're going to continue to go through these guys over and over and over and not make any changes, you can't expect the team to make big changes on their production. That's facts. We're the bottom of the 3rd inning. We're down 8-0. Next up in the 9-hole, first baseman Bob Seymour. Batting second, at the top of the order, left fielder Chandler Simpson, and batting third, DHing Yandy Diaz. George Kirby's day is done, and Edward Bizardo is in the matchup. All right, Bizardo, can't be any worse than what we saw out of George Kirby. Again, that Kirby start was, kind of reminded me of, Logan Gilbert's on the road against Philadelphia. It just seemed like every single pitch, doesn't matter what it was, off speed or, fastball, in the zone, out of the zone. I mean, it was just like batting practice for the other team. And, again, when you see something like that, it's heartbreaking, Regardless if you've been a fan of this team for just a couple years or for some of us in the room that have been fans for 30 or 40 years plus. I mean, it's not ideal, but again, it does come with the territory. And hopefully Bizardo will play well here. First pitch to Bizardo, low and away. 1-0 count. And it also magnifies the fact that Mitch Garver ain't it. He can't call a game. When any game that Mitch Garver catches, you almost feel like you're going to lose, because compared to Cal, Cal is the best in, MLB. But I truly do believe that Harry Ford, even though he's been in AAA, a few years, he would give you a better presence, being able to throw guys out, being a better hitter and a better defender. Just because he's young, you feel like he can't do it. Can't get any worse than fucking Mitch Garver, right? Give a guy a chance. I mean, at some point, we got to get rid of some of these shitty players on our team. Mitch Garver doesn't belong on this team. Luis Castillo does not belong on this team. And next year, hopefully, they won't be on the team. We have to have better players. Plain and simple. 1-2 pitch. Low and at the knees. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Bizzardo to Seymour. And sometimes you have to have guys play like shit to get exposed for management and ownership to make the proper move the following year. 2-2 pitch. Fouled off behind the plate. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Bizzardo to Seymour. It's one thing to have loyalty, but, you want to have loyalty for the right players. And if you stick with the wrong players with loyalty too long, then bad things will continue to happen. Yeah, but the Mariners, just like a lot of teams, play down to the competition. And not only do we play down to the competition, we're not good on the road. So it's kind of a recipe for disaster. Not good on the road, right? And we play down to the competition. If the other team strikes early, a lot of times we're screwed, And again, it's like, it affects the, batters in the box because they're not playing the same type of way. If we're only down 1 or 2, there's still going to be some hope and some belief. But when you're down 8-0, how many of the batters are really going to be patient in the box and treat this as a game that they might be able to come back from? Probably only at 1 or 2. As Seymour dribbles out to first base, toe tap on the bag, and that is 1 away. Next up is left fielder Chandler Simpson. First pitch low and in the dirt from Bizzardo to Simpson. Bottom of the 3rd inning, 8-0 Rays. And, and again, be thankful that we've only been blown out like this 5 to 10 times out of 130, 140 games. I imagine some of these other teams, have been blown out 20, 30, 40 times. I can only imagine what some of y'all would do if that was the Mariners. Again, it hasn't been great, but at least we're 73-66. You have to have the proper expectations. You can't expect us to be, all of a sudden shitty for years and years and years. Then all of a sudden, magically, we make the World Series and win. Not going to happen. It's going to be a progression. 2-0 pitch. Low and at the knees. Behind the plate. Mitch Garver is terrible. 3 balls and no strikes from Bizzardo to Simpson. Yeah, everyone hates when we lose, Cody. It's not fun, especially when you get blown out like this and you feel like the game is already out of reach at the beginning of the game. 3-0 pitch, takes a strike looking high and away. 3 balls and 1 strike from Bizzardo to Simpson. But again, for some of y'all, this has only been something you guys have experienced for 5 years or less, or 10 years. But for some of us in the room, this is something that we've had to deal with for 20, 30, 40 years. Some of y'all aren't built for this. Throw to first and got him. You have to be mentally tough. 1 away. Next up, DHing Yandy Diaz. Oh, did they give him safe on that call? Looks like Simpson is safe at first. And we got to see if Bizzardo's okay here. Trainers go out, and we've been, getting quite a few baseballs, deflected back to us. So, but again, all things are going to be gravy though, because obviously once the Powerball drawing comes out and your boy ends up winning $1 billion, then things will be good. Bottom of the 3rd inning, 8-0 Rays. You hear that, sports gods? I need to be able to be the winner of the Powerball. And even if I ended up winning the Powerball, I still would be doing this. It's not like I would stop doing this. First pitch from Bizzardo to Diaz. Low and at the knees, 1-0 count. It was a great era. 95, 97, with Griffey, 2001 with Ichiro, and 2022 with Cal. And Diaz with the base hit. And you can tell, like, with the body language of the Mariner players, you're not really feeling a sense of urgency. You're not seeing hustle. They're already defeated. And you're only going to see a couple guys show that heart and that grit. And that's what you want to be able to see out of, situations that are going bad. Who's still playing hard, And again, it really shows, who cares about this team and, maybe who doesn't at the moment, You have to be able to give it your all no matter how bad the circumstances are. And you can definitely tell a character of a player, when things are not going your way. You got to be able to face that adversity. Bottom of the third inning, 8-0 Rays with runners on the corners with one out. Next up is Brandon Lowe. Takes a strike there, low and in the zone, 0-1 count. Low in the box. Bizzardo on the mound. 0-1 pitch, right down the middle for a strike. No balls and 2 strikes from Bizzardo to Lowe. Bottom of the third inning, 8-0 Rays. Let them know, Monkey. Like, sub, donate, comment, share. Not every game is going to be like this. You got to try to get to 100 likes, 100 on that dono train, and 5 to 15 subs. And then if we hit those goals, we'll go to our secondary goals. And trust me, it's just as painful for me than anybody that's in the room or others that are watching this across the globe. This doesn't make me fucking feel good. This is my full-time job, and then having to be able to see us getting fucking torched like this over and over and over on the road. I'm a real human being. I'm just not just this AI streamer, that has no feelings or emotions. Like, this shit affects me too. But at the end of the day, you have to try to make a positive out of a negative the best that we can, knowing what's, happening in front of us. And luckily, we're not going to, be on the road forever. 0-2 pitch, big swing and a miss, and a nice punch out by Bizzardo. And that is 2 away. Nice job, Edward. At least something that we can get, celebrate at the moment for the little W's, when everything is just going wrong. But again, road trips have definitely not been kind, and it definitely feels that we're a different team after the All-Star break. It's hard to be a very consistent team, 6-7 months straight. Bottom of the third inning, runners at first and third. 8-0 Rays. First pitch to Junior Caminero, low and at the knees. 1-0 count. 40 home runs, over 100 ribbies, 20 years old, an up-and-coming superstar, Junior Caminero. 1-0 pitch, takes a strike looking high and away. 1 ball and 1 strike from Bizzardo to Caminero. Ott, Matthews, Acuna, and Caminero. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Bizzardo to Caminero. Appreciate you, Tony. 1-2 pitch. Big swing and a miss. Nice job by Bizzardo. There we go. You got to take the little W's, again, when things are going terrible, you got to be able to celebrate even the little things. Nice job by Bizzardo. Hell, at this point, we should have started Bizzardo over Kirby. But again, obviously, Bizzardo is a pen pitcher. All right, now we're going to the top of the 4th inning. And, hopefully we can at least get to 4, before the game is over. I know we're at a 0 right now, but we just have to hope that they're going to have a meltdown at some point or another. But again, if we didn't have Randy swing at the first pitch and fly out, Cal swing at the first pitch and fly out, and then Julio swing at the first pitch and ground out, maybe we wouldn't be down fucking 8-0 early on if we actually had guys that worked the count at the top of the order. But again, we'll see what happens in their second at-bat, and hopefully we don't see Randy, Cal, and Julio do that same damn thing again. We did see Cal and Julio, homer back-to-back, which we predicted here, on the channel. But again, it's not fun when we're getting our ass kicked. But you also have to realize, why we're getting our ass kicked. And it's a combination of things. It's Dan Wilson, it's the pitching staff. It's not believing that we can win on the road, playing down to the competition against shitty teams, and obviously the bats not coming alive as often as, that we need, especially when the pitching isn't there. 8 runs, 12 hits, 0 runs, 1 hit. Make it make sense, Yeah, and again, having Victor Robles and Leo Ribas in the lineup would allow us to play small ball, so that way we can actually have better players. Like when's the last time, that we actually bunted? We've been doing it like, one time every few games recently, but prior to that, it felt like it was 10, 20 games before we even bunted at all. We should be bunting 1 or 2 or 3 times a game, And again, we haven't been able to steal bags since Naylor was going crazy earlier at home. And then also on top of that, whenever we get a hit, these dumbasses like Randy and Polo are trying to stretch singles into doubles, doubles into triples, and getting thrown out. So anytime you get a guy that gets a hit, they end up wasting it, like Polo did early in the game. Oh, we finally get a hit, and then he tries to stretch a fucking single into a double, and then the inning is over. Like, you kill all the momentum, and again, there's a number of reasons why, things have been shitty, and again, we need to be able to improve that. But again, you're not going to be able to have these things change with Dan Wilson. It's going to have to be someone else, because obviously small ball and, and understanding to play outside of the box, he doesn't understand that concept whatsoever. I mean, he's better than Service, but not by much. 0-2 pitch, and down goes Randy on 3 pitches, and that is 1 away. But I mean, again, it feels like it's been forever since we've been able to get into like a run and gun type of situation. Base running has been terrible. The awareness on the base paths has been terrible. It just, any little thing that would normally help us win in the past, we're not doing it anymore. And obviously we're paying the price because of that as well. First pitch in there for a strike to Cal Raleigh, 0-1 count. Oh, 1 pitch, low and away. 1 ball and 1 strike to big dumper Cal Raleigh. One pitch. Cal crushes it into right field. Foul. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Hauser to Raleigh. And on top of that, with the poor base running and, trying to stretch singles and doubles and triples and getting out, it also feels too like there's other things that, could be much, much better, with this particular, roster movement. Big swing and a miss. Down goes Cal, and that is 2 away. Down goes Cal Raleigh. Next up is Julio Rodriguez. Come on, Julio. Somebody's got to get us off to Schneid. We could really use a solo dinger. Yeah, I mean, but 50% of our runs are home runs, and again, when we homer, we typically are in games, but when we don't, it's like 99.99% a chance of, losing. And again, there's just been so many bad things that have been happening at the same time for us. 1-0 pitch, popped up into right field, and that is out number 3. And then on the flip side, all the pitchers that we've been going against, right, starters and bullpen, like, have we been getting walked on a regular basis? Have we been getting plunked? Like, we haven't been able to get those extra opportunities that other teams get. It's like we barely get walked, we barely get plunked, and that's tough. Like, when we were on our 9 series consecutive win streak, we were getting plunked, we were getting walked. And then we were taking advantage of that situation, stealing bags. But when you're not getting walked, you're not getting plunked, you're not being able to steal bags, you're getting thrown out, starting pitching is ass, bullpen is shitty, you can't fucking hit, you can't get 3 hits in a row, you can't fucking home run, you're shitty on the road, you play down to the competition, this is what you get, and eventually things will get better when we go back home. But again, it's not just the players. Dan Wilson is responsible as well, and again, it doesn't really have the proper awareness, here in year 1. Still slightly better than Scott Service, but again, like I said earlier, not by much though. We definitely need more of a Lou Piniella type that actually understands this game on a deeper level. And I respect what Dan did as a catcher for the Mariners, back in the day, but this guy ain't it, long term. Short term, he's the guy, but long term, he ain't it. Let's go to the bottom of the fourth inning, 8-0 Rays. Next up, 1-for-1 with 2 runs and an RBI, right fielder Josh Lowe. Batting second, 1-for-2 with an RBI, center fielder Jake Mangum. And batting third, 1-for-1 with 3 ribbies already, ridiculous, catcher Hunter Fiducia. Well, we got to be able to, go over these things. And then the Emerson Hancock, who's in the game now, obviously trying to be able to put starters in the pen when he first got out there, got absolutely destroyed, and again, it shows you instead of spending money in free agency, right, when it's the off season, on infielders and outfielders, what the fuck are we doing? Spend the money on pitching, starting pitching and bullpen only, and then, find out the best guys, even if they're starters on other teams, move them to the pen, so that way we actually can have a plethora of great pitching, rather than, going for guys like Donovan Solano and Miles Mastroboni. That's where the Mariners have made the mistake in the last couple years. We have plenty of guys in the farm that can play in the infield or the outfield. What we don't have enough of is good quality pitchers. Now, we obviously have Durangelo and Cade, waiting in the wings, but they're not ready yet. But Luis Castillo will not be on this team next year, and I'm hoping Cade will be the guy that takes his spot. And then in a year or two after that, hopefully we'll be able to see Durangelo as well. 0-2 pitch, fouled off, low and away. No balls and 2 strikes from Hancock to Lowe. We ain't giving up. And Hancock giving up another hit. No surprise there. Again, if you're not very good as a starter, you're probably not going to be very good in the pen. I mean, we had hopes that Hancock, okay, you don't have as much pressure. You don't have to pitch 6 innings. You only have to pitch, maybe an inning or maybe just get an out. But clearly Hancock, out of all our first round draft picks, he's the biggest failure out of all the first round draft picks in the last 5-6 years. He ain't it, and he never will be. Bottom of the fourth, 8-0 Tampa. Yeah, and we don't have patience in the box either. Owlman is on that as well. That's another thing that we're not very good at. Too many people swinging at that first pitch and then grounding out and popping up, and it just kills the momentum. 1-0 pitch, high and away. 2 balls and no strikes from Hancock to Mangum. And again, down the road, eventually we'll be able to, find the right combination, but when things are going bad, it definitely highlights those, positions and individuals that, just aren't cutting it, and they may never cut it. Down goes Mangum, and that is 1 away. Yeah, but remember, in 2022, 2023, 2024, we were batting 180 to 220 as a team, like number 1 strikeout team for years, and we were getting like 0 to 2 runs in a lot of our games. So at least we're, able to hit more times than not. But again, pitching was much better back then. But again, it's like, it never can even out. It's like pitching was elite back then, but we couldn't hit. Now we can hit, but now the pitching has gone off the rails and it's terrible. It's like, why can't we just fucking get pitching, hitting, and bullpen to be good together? And it just seems like, when one, part gets good, the other part gets bad. And hopefully one day we will be able to have, good pitching, good hitting together, and then the bullpen won't be ass. Facts. Hunter Fiducia there in the box. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Hancock to Fiducia. And I would have been happier keeping Bizzardo in the game. Why are we bringing in Emerson Hancock? I know they want to give him another shot to see if he can do it, but I think sometimes, just like in the NFL, when you fuck up, in the first round, or, you end up picking a guy and it just doesn't work out. Sometimes you just got to cut your losses and just realize that you fucked up and you picked the wrong guy. And that guy he ain't it. And, I kind of feel that way with Emerson Hancock, because I feel like if you had to choose between him and Logan Evans, you're going to go Logan Evans. And even Logan can't win on the road, but he's better at home than Hancock is. And another base hit here by Emerson Hancock. And again, Emerson can't start. And obviously he's showing now in 2 opportunities in the pen. Hey, you can't pitch in the pen either. You're terrible, my guy. Should have kept Bizzardo in. Yeah, and also, too, in 2001, we won 116 games. We're nowhere near that here. We're going to win about half of that. So the team was different. Slow dribbler, double play attempt, throw to first. Got him! There we go. Something positive. Nice double play there by the Mariners. And now we got to be able to get on the board. And again, when we get down in these bad situations, the hitters give up, and that can't be the case. We have to have at least that category be good, because if the starting pitching isn't good and then the bullpen isn't good, at least we need to be able to keep hitting even if we lose. So that way, at least we have something to be able to cheer for, But again, when we end up getting down 4-0, 5-0, 6-0, 7-0, 8-0, it feels like half of the lineup or more, they don't really try. And that's very alarming, and again, I know baseball is hard. It's not like any of us could do any better, but it definitely, you can tell if you look at body language and overall aura and vibe, we need Victor Robles back. I mean, and that is just plain and simple. Yes, he will be back either in the first or the second game against the Braves. I believe on the weekend. I don't know what exact game it is. Someone can look it up to see exactly what game, but he will be available in the Braves series for what game he'll be available. And then also you would assume as soon as he's available, we're going to put him in the starting lineup right away. And if we don't, then obviously we know Dan Wilson's a fucking idiot, right? Because again, we know Robles is a billion times better than Luke Raley or Dominic Canzone, who honestly probably don't deserve to be on this team right now. Those guys should probably be in AAA. And I would rather have, maybe another guy in the bullpen coming from AAA and bring Ben Williamson back up. Ben has been playing well, and Ben gives us a better chance, to be able to win, I feel, than those 2 guys. And it's not like Luke Raley and Dominic Canzone are terrible. They've made some plays for us, previously. But if you're looking at like right now, who would be more valuable, I believe it would be Ben, and I think a lot of us fans, we like Ben more than those other 2. It's not like Luke Raley and Dominic Canzone are terrible, but they're just kind of average. They're mid. They're not great, and Ben is great at defense. And obviously his problem was hitting, but in AAA, he started to kind of pick it up a little bit. So, I think having Ben on the team would help as well for vibes. And sometimes you need those good vibes, right? And we definitely need Victor Robles back desperately. And again, once we more than likely not re-sign Eugenio Suarez after this year, hopefully we put that money into Naylor instead, and then Ben can be our third baseman again. And hopefully at that point, he can prove that he's never going to hit home runs like Gino, but if he can be a good singles hitter and be on the Cole Young level or JP level or better, that'll be good enough for our third baseman for the time being, unless we find someone that can be better than Ben. But I think Ben is someone that we can definitely root for, and we do enjoy what Ben Williamson brings to this team. Adrian Hauser on the mound, Luke Raley in the box. 1-1 pitch, and Raley pops up. Weakly hit, and that is 1 away. Next up is Eugenio Suarez, and you already know they kind of already gave up when they already replaced Naylor for fucking Luke Raley. What are we doing? Why would you replace fucking Luke Raley for Naylor? I mean, unless Naylor is injured or has an issue right now or he's got an illness. Like, make it make sense. We need Naylor out there to be able to try to come back, even if we don't win, but at least to try to get to 4 before this fucking game is over. But again, that's Dan Wilson for you, I guess. First pitch is low and away, 1-0 count. Hey, I just got to call it how I see it. And Gino pops it foul. Stacks. Racks. And we get that dono train going. Appreciate you. $5 holla. Thank you so much. And again, it's it's just as frustrating as for me than it is for everybody in the room, but again, I have to be the one soul on planet Earth that has to be a little bit more positive. I'm not going to sugarcoat fucking anything. When we're bad, on the road. There's no doubt about that. But also there's things that could be improved when things are going bad that aren't, adjustments aren't being made. It's like, in an NFL game, you're, blowing up, over and over and over, they're giving up touchdowns on the run. And then all of a sudden you're just not making any adjustments, and again, I feel like with Dan Wilson, he's like a head coach or a coordinator that just lets it ride. Doesn't make any fucking adjustments throughout the game. And then if he does make an adjustment, it's the fucking wrong one, right? Keeping a pitcher in too long, pulling a guy too soon, right? Having a wrong guy come in to pinch hit, sending the wrong guy down to AAA. Like, at some point, you got to be able to figure it out, my guy. Next up is Jorge Polanco. First pitch is high and away, 1-0 count. Do we need to hear the boo? Is that where we're at? Is that where it's gone? All right, we got to turn the music off. All right, the Mariners are down 8-0. Polo, slow dribbler, and that's out number 3. And hopefully we don't have to play this too often, but that's where it is. Rays 8, 14 hits, no errors. The Mariners are at 0. Not ideal. That's where we're at, huh? With the booze. But I appreciate all the support with the dono train. We like that sound a little bit better. Thank you so much. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No. You're getting the same type of things that, and anyone that watched Scott, again, a lot of times, he keep a guy in too long, pull a guy too soon. So you're seeing a lot of similarities, but again, the difference is, Scott was doing it for a long time, as a manager. This is Dan's first time managing a team. It's not like he's managed 5 other teams and he's got 15 years of experience. And then, he doesn't know what he's doing. He's just kind of doing it on the fly for the very first time. So, and obviously he's going to get some assistance from Edgar and Seitzer and some of the other assistants there, but, he's got, enough talent there to be able to make the proper adjustments. But again, when you've never done it before, there's a lot of pressure, and obviously he doesn't know what he's doing all the time in this year number 1. And, he's a short-term answer, not the long-term solution. Let's go to the bottom of the 5th and see who's up next year for the Rays. But trust me, once we go back home, we have to have the day off tomorrow. I'm going to do Cowboys and Eagles, so we'll have the NFL stream tomorrow. We have a 3-game set against the Braves. Hopefully we win 2 out of 3, but realistically we're going to win 1 out of 3 because we'll probably play down to the competition against them as well. But then once we come back home, against the Cardinals, we really got to bring it, and then we got to be able to go on a nice win streak there. But again, I wish that we were going back home after this fucking road trip. Having to have a day off and then go to Atlanta is not ideal, lately based on how we've been playing. And they still got Hancock out there. Why do we still have Hancock out there? See, these are the decisions that we're talking about. Fazzardo did well. You should have kept him out there. Why? It's like you want to be able to see what Hancock can do. I can already tell you, he ain't going to do shit. He can't start, and he can't be in the bullpen. He's terrible. Again, and at least we've hit on all our first-round draft picks besides him, but he's the failure out of all those guys. Some guys are, going to end up panning out as a first-round pick, but this was the one first-round pick out of the last 5 or 6 years that is not going to pan out. He ain't it. And again, they're desperately trying to find a way to get him to contribute, but even Logan Evans can't win on the road, but he's better than Hancock, and he wasn't a first-rounder. So some guys have the it factor, and other guys, they just simply do not. Some guys are just more AAA, and that's just where they're going to be, AAA or on another team sucking ass somewhere else. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Hancock to Seymour. Yeah, NFL game on Friday as well. Pitch is low and at the knees. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes from Hancock to Seymour. 3-2 pitch and a walk. Nice job. Can't even get the 9-hole hitter out. Bob Seymour to first. And again, you have to have, I guess, certain opportunities to see, okay, maybe he's a bullpen guy. But again, if you can't pitch during, the regular season as a starter, what would make you think that he can do it in the pen? Judah in the building, what's good? Mariners, all day, every day, until I die. And plus, when we end up, being great, whenever that is, it's going to mean a hell of a lot more for us, than being a bandwagon fan of a team that goes to playoffs every year. Again, you have to be able to go through the ups and the downs, and you have to feel the pain and the misery before you can celebrate, the joy, and being able to be, king of the castle. 0-2 pitch, fouled off, low and away. No balls and 2 strikes here in the bottom of the 5th. Emerson Hancock on the mound in the pen. Chandler Simpson in the box. And again, for Pacific Northwest teams that are in Oregon and Washington, as a small market, organizations in Oregon and Washington, it takes a while for the teams to get good. But once they get really good, they're championship good. Seahawks, Huskies a couple years ago with Michael Penix Jr., it takes a while. The Ducks, are pretty good, lately within the last few years under Dan Lanning. And it kind of feels like at some point, if Lanning stays, the Ducks are going to end up going to a natty. They may not win the first time that they go, but they might be able to win one as long as he stays. He's a top 3 coach in college football right now. So, again, it's not always going to be peaches and cream, for the Kraken, the Mariners, the Seahawks, the Ducks, the Huskies, the Beavers, the Cougs. It's going to be a lot of misery, but at some point we will have joy. You just have to be patient. And again, I know patience is not something that a lot of us have, but that's just how it is. 1-2 pitch. And Julio, I would like to see a little bit more hustle there, Julio. You're looking like Randy out there in left field. And now we got runners at first and second. And look at the bullpen comparison. Second in MLB from July 24th to August 25th. And now, since August 13th, we're 28th. 28th in ERA, 29th in WHIP, 29th in opponent average. I mean, you're going from second in ERA, WHIP, and opponent average from July 24th to August 12th, and then now being a bottom 3 in all the categories in the pitching. So there you go. Pretty crazy discrepancy. To be number 2 in MLB in certain categories in pitching, and then now to be bottom 3. Not even anywhere in between, and that is not good, as I see Sauce warming up in the pen. And it shows you how many shitty guys that we have in the pen. That's not going to help us, especially if the bats are not coming alive. Bottom of the 5th, 8-0 Rays. We have to get to at least 2 to 4 runs before this one's over. I'm hoping. I don't want to be at a 0. 1-1 pitch, fouled off right down the middle. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Hancock to Diaz. One-two pitch. And slow dribbler. And Rayleigh can't play fucking defense. Why are you on the goddamn team, Rayleigh? You stink. Go to fucking AAA. Golly. Why the fuck are you in the game? At least if Josh Naylor was in the game, he wouldn't have fucked up like that. Again, it shows you, like, Naylor and Canzone. We need Victor Robles back, baby. And bring back up Ben Williamson. Christ. It's like, oh, we want to give these guys a little bit more experience. Experience what? To show me that they fucking suck and they can't fucking play offense and defense? Christ. Now we got bases loaded for Lowe. First pitch, line drive, and at least Randy ends up getting the out. Tags up. And, horrible effort all around. I mean, if you're just looking at the body language of the players, I mean, when the ball was coming into the infield, they're not even catching it on the glove, just bouncing off the glove. No, nobody gives a shit. I mean, I'm hoping that we have at least one or two players out of the guys that are out there now. 9-0 Rays, but again, not everyone is going to be mentally tough. That's going to be able to go through adversity. Anybody can, play well when things are going great, but who can play well when things are going bad? That really shows character in an individual. Slow dribbler, JP Stone playing, double play, and there we go. Finally, we get out of the inning. 9-0 Rays. Oh, ay. I mean, luckily, we've only been blown out like this, 5 to 10 times out of 130, 140 games. I couldn't even imagine what it would be like to be some of these other shitty teams in MLB that get blown out like this on the regular. All right, let's see who's up next here for the Mariners. Next up, right fielder 0 for 1, Dominic Canzone. Batting second, 0 for 1, catcher Mitch Garver. And at this point, put in fucking Harry Ford. And what are you going to lose? Get him some fucking experience out there. But of course they won't. And batting third, 0 for 1, JP Crawford. Let me see some Leo Rivas or Harry Ford, damn it. I'll probably save them for the Atlanta series. Like, sub, donate, comment, share. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. Help us get to 100 likes, 100 on the dono train, and 5 to 15 subs. Let's see where we're at on the sub count. 67 to go to be able to get to 21,700. First pitch to Dominic Canzone, fouled off, 0-1 count. Yeah, I mean, we're not going to come back and win, but again, I just want to be able to see something positive before the game is up. We could have a couple meltdowns by their pitching staff, but, I just want to see us to get to like 2 to 4 runs, but again, the effort, on the defense and the overall vibes, I want to be able to see at least someone try to, make a comeback for this team. And again, you can still play for your own individual stats, for Julio and Cal, the homer, or anybody else. But 1-2 pitch, slow dribbler towards first base is foul. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Hauser to Canzone. Not everything is going to go your way in life. Not everything is going to go your way, in MLB and baseball. And, again, I see a lot of fucking quitters out there, and that's really alarming and disturbing, and again, we're not going to lose like this often, but again, this team is definitely not mentally tough, at this point. And Dominic Canzone with a nice base knock up the middle. There you go, Dom. Here we go. Second hit of the game. They have 16 hits. We have 2. Make it make sense. Next up is Mitch Garver. Yeah, a couple of home runs for morale. You know, get Cal another home run to get to 52. Julio to get another home run to get closer to 30. You know, I want to be able to see, just a little bit of heart, a little bit of fight. I mean, because even if we do make the playoffs, this year, if this is the type of team that we are, we might not even win against that first team that we play. It's like, I know we have dreams of ALDS, ALCS, and World Series, but again, I know that we're better at home than we are on the road. No doubt about that. But, this team doesn't look like it's prepared to make a deep run this year. And again, we'll see how we play at home, and hopefully it'll be much better. And we're definitely going to need the crowd, behind us when we come back home. Imagine if we play like this at home, then we might not make the playoffs, and the Rangers might take the spot, or the Red Sox and Yankees get in. And Garver flies out, and that is one away. But I want to be able to see at least a couple fucking runs here. Next up is J.P. Crawford. Hauser on the mound. Crawford in the box. First pitch, takes a strike, looking right down the middle, a 1 count. We need a boost of morale in a bad situation. JP is at 9 home runs. Next home run would be home run number 10, but unfortunately we're, going against, really good pitching lately on the road, and, hasn't been ideal. These pitchers haven't been fucking up like we need them to fuck up. We haven't been getting walked often. We haven't been getting plunked often to kind of give us that extra boost. We haven't been able to steal bags efficiently. We haven't been bunting. We haven't been playing small ball. We haven't been working the count that often. Just a lot of things that we're fucking not doing. And it's starting to catch up to us in the worst way possible. Pitch is inside. 2 balls and 1 strike from Hauser to Crawford. 2-1 pitch, high and away. 3 balls and 1 strike to J.P. Crawford. 9-0 Rays. Three-1 pitch, and that's a walk. That's something positive. There we go. Now we got runners at first and second with 1 out. This is the first time that we've actually had a chance to do something good. Next up is Randy Arozarena. And hopefully Randy, at this point, if you swing at the first pitch, you might be able to get something. But I didn't really like him swinging at that first pitch to start off the game. But let's see if we can get something here cooking from Randy. Best case scenario, Randy does this, and we're down 9-3. And at least that would give us something to hoot and holler about, even though that we're going to lose the game. See if we can get a single, double, or an RBI or a home run at a Randy Arozarena. First pitch, takes a strike, swinging low and away, a 1 count. Come on, Mariners, give us that edge that we need. Big swing and a miss, no balls and 2 strikes to Randy Arozarena. Griffey wants it. Come on, baby. Come on, Randy. 0-2 pitch. Inside. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Hauser to Arozarena. Anything positive at this point will make it slightly better. Obviously 9-0. There's no, ifs, ands, or buts. It's miserable, but again, we have to try to do at least a couple positive things before this game is over. Big swing and a miss, and down goes Randy against his former team, and that is 2 away. Maybe Cal Raleigh can be a hero here. Let's go, Big Dumper. Bring the electricity. With 1 swing, it can be 9-3, and that'll make us feel a hell of a lot better. Let's go, Big Dumper. We're looking for home run number 52. Come on, Cal. Come on, Big Dumper. 2 runs in game 1, 5 runs in game 2. Cal, first pitch, popped up. Please go out of play, and it does. 0-1 count. Come on, Cal. Come on, baby. Please, Cal. For every Mariner fan sanity, please, Homer. I mean, on the bright side, we wanted him to be able to win AL MVP over Aaron Judge, but just something to get excited about here today. 0-1 pitch, and fouls it off. No balls and 2 strikes from Hauser to Big Dumper. Yeah, but again, all of this started when we went on the road to face the Orioles and the Mets and the Phillies. You know, when we went 2-7 on the road and we haven't recovered. And it showed, you know, the stat line, we, you know, in a period between July and August, you know, we were the number 2 pitching staff. Cal, here we go. Nice base knock by Cal. Go, go, go. Go home, go home. There we go. And that's the first run on the board. There we go. We're not getting fucking skunked, baby. There we go. Nice job, Cal. Nice RBI. And he gets a single to center, Canzone, scoring 9-1 Tampa. Let's see if we can get to 4 or 5 before this game is over. Here we go. I mean, anytime that Cal and Julio do something good, we can get behind that. You know, things are bad, but at least we got 2 of the best players on planet Earth on the same team. You know, I mean, imagine if we didn't have Cal and Julio, what we would be thinking at this point. All right, and if Julio can homer here, right, then the game will be 9-4. And we're very good in the 7th, 8th, and 9th, and we're very good with 2 outs. And hopefully we can get Julio Rodriguez. I'm trying to talk it into existence for us here. You know, I did call the Cal Julio back-to-back home run last night, and I know it's going to be much more difficult with Julio here, but if we can get a 3-run blast to make it 9-4, that would, you know, make us feel a little bit better considering how the game started. And it also would give 1 more homer for Julio to get closer to 30, which I know a lot of us fans want to see him hit 30 plus. And we want Cal to, you know, try to get as close to 60 as possible. First pitch, going back to the wall. Homer, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go, baby. My ESP is on point. Julio Rodriguez with a 3-run jack. And now it's 9-4 Rays. I don't know, you know, the sports gods, they must really love me. Because, again, to predict a home run out of Julio in that situation, pretty fucking clutch. Let's go. A lot of people think I'm a time traveler, you know, but again, think about how many predictions I get correct on the daily. 2 to 8. 2 to 8 every game. That's more than anybody else on YouTube, right? And I don't even bet on games. But obviously, I have a good pulse on this team. There we go. You show the photo, you want it, and you get it. 9-4 Rays. Here we go. Thankfully, the sports gods love me. Let's get it, baby. Let's go. Next up is Luke Raley. Pitch fouled off. 1 ball and 1 strike from Hauser to Ray. And imagine if George didn't do so bad, and the score is 5-4 right now. He actually would probably come back and win at this point, you know? But again, we dug ourselves in too big of a hole. But again, it's exciting to think that, you know, guys like Cal and Julio, you know, we need them to play well. And finally, you know, getting a little bit of rhythm, and Cal starting off the party and Julio cleaning it up. Let's go, baby. 1-2 pitch. Check swing. Does he go? And he does. And that is out number 3, but not out. Cal Raleigh and Julio Rodriguez make your boy look really smart. Let's go, baby. You know, and I don't know, you know, and again, how often, you know, am I correct? You know, it's like, I'm not going to be correct about everything 100% of the time, but I'm definitely going to be more on point with my predictions that come true, you know, than anybody else on YouTube. Name one other person that's going to come up with predictions that, you know, happen 10 seconds later, 15 seconds later, 30 seconds later. And again, you know, I've been a fan of this team for 40 years, and, you know, sometimes you have to believe it, you speak it into existence, and then it happens. And there we go. And hopefully we get another dono train started, just like he said. Let's get it, baby. I mean, I don't know how many times I have to get things correct game in and game out for people to start believing, but there we go. You may not win the game, but again, it's a hell of a lot better than being down 9-0, 12-0, 15-0. And again, now we can actually crack a little smile, right? That Cal actually did something positive to get that first run aboard Dominic Canzone. And again, Julio Rodriguez stepping up in the most major way. And again, scoring 4 runs there in the 6th, and now we're down 9-4. Feels pretty good. I mean, it still sucks that more than likely we're going to lose, but again, what happens if they end up having a couple pitchers with a meltdown? I mean, it is possible if they stay at 9 and they end up having 2 more meltdown pitchers that we potentially could get it close to maybe 9-7 or 9-8 or 9-9. But, even with my ESP, I'm not sure if that's possible, but we'll wait and see how it goes. There we go, baby. Appreciate you. Stacks, racks, and my ESP is on point on that dono trade. $4 holla. Appreciate you. But I'll be able to predict double plays. I'll be able to predict home runs. I'll be able to predict, certain situations. And Sauce is in the game, and that's a nightmare. And Randy's out there in the left field, and that is 1 away. Down goes low. 1 out. Sauce on the mound. Next up, center fielder Jake Mangum in the box. Mariner Moose, the power of the Moose is real. But also, too, I have ESP, like, in general. My mom does, too. Like, I don't know if it just runs in the family and whatnot, but, it's not like I'm going to be like Miss Cleo, and whatnot from back in the day. Some of you guys are old enough to get that reference, being on those infomercials and TV and whatnot. But, it's not just in baseball that I have it. I have it in kind of real life situations as well. 1-0 pitch, takes a strike looking down the middle. 1 ball and 1 strike from Sauce to Mangum. But hopefully the time traveler stuff is true, because the Powerball is $1 billion. So hopefully after the drawing, your boy is a winner. We had 3 $50,000 winners in Oregon on Monday's drawing. So, I mean, even winning $50K would be huge. I know a lot of us could use $50,000 in the bank account, as Sauce gives up a base hit there to Mangum. But I can do it for, basketball, baseball, football, hockey, NASCAR. Like, it doesn't really just stay with just the Mariners. Like, when we end up doing the game for the Eagles and Cowboys tomorrow, I imagine I'll have a few opportunities for tomorrow as well. Next up is Hunter Fiducia. First pitch is low and away to Fiducia. 1-0 count. Oh 1-0 pitch inside with the sinker. 2 balls and no strikes from Sauce to Hunter Fiducia. And slow dribbler, double play attempt, throw to first, and safe at first. We got a few double plays today. But now you're going to probably start to see a lot more effort out of the players. So, thank God for Cal and Julio to spark this team. And you're going to start to see a little bit more effort on defense and probably a little bit more effort by the players in the box and, some better body language and aura, especially when you're just continuously getting drilled left and right. Eventually, something good has to happen. Next up in the 8-hole shortstop, Carson Williams. Sauce on the mound, Williams in the box. And a slow dribbler. Force out at second, out number 3. There we go. Good defense by the M's. And let's see if we can feed off that momentum of those 4 runs that we picked up. All right, let's see if we got the potential batters to make it happen. Would love to see Leo Rivas and Harry Ford get a chance to play, damn it. Next up, 0 for 2 with 2 Ks, Eugenio Suarez. Come on, Gino, we need a bomb. Batting second, 1 for 2, Jorge Polanco. And batting third, 1 for 2 with a run, Dominic Canzone. If we're not going to get Harry Ford, at least get me Leo Rivas before the game is over. I mean, the guy hits a 2-run blast when we're down 10-0, and we haven't played him since. Come on, reward a guy, you know? It's like when Logan Evans had one of those best games of the year, pitched 8 innings, and what did we do? Right? We sent him to AAA. Like, why do you send a guy down to AAA when he plays well? It's like you're supposed to send guys to AAA when they're playing bad, And again, I feel like with the Mariners, sometimes are a little ass backwards and whatnot. So, all right, come on, Gino. We got 3 innings to go to get 5 runs. 2 runs in the 7th, 2 runs in the 8th, and 1 in the 9th. You just got to chip away. First pitch from Hauser to Gino, low and out the knees, 1-0 count. One 0 pitch, takes a strike looking inside. 1 ball and 1 strike to Eugenio Suarez. Come on, Gino. Slow dribbler to third, throw to first, and that is 1 away. Dug out there by Seymour. Down goes Gino, 1 away. Next up is Jorge Polanco. And if we can get a Polo home run right here to make it 9-5, that would be great. Come on, Polo. Single, double, triple, home run. But if we get a solo dinger by Polo here to make it 9-5, that would be sweet. He's got 23 home runs. Homered yesterday with Julio and Cal. And Julio homered obviously yesterday and today. Cal and Polo can do it again as well. First pitch is high and away, 1-0 count. Top of the 7th inning, 9-4 Rays. And it's crazy how much better you feel when you're, and what did we say when we were down 9-0? I wanted us to get to 4. And look at that, we're at 4, And again, wanted the home run with Julio. We got it, But now we got to try to see if we can get to 5, 6, 7. Julio and Jorge lined out to left. That is 2 away. But I mean, vibes are so much better now. Even though we're down 5 runs, I mean, being down 9-4 is a hell of a lot better than 9-0. Anytime you're at 0, it's like you feel so low, like the lowest of low. And then especially if the other team keeps going higher and higher and higher, 5-0 is bad, but 9-0, 10-0, it's like, you're so miserable. But at least things have picked up here as of late. Next up, Dominic Canzone. And Dominic Canzone drilled there. I hope he's okay. Hauser hitting him. Hopefully Dom is all right. I wonder if that was retaliation for the Kirby plunking, but I mean, hit him in the exact same spot in the back. That might have been intentional. And Canzone got ejected yesterday with Dan Wilson, so. And again, being a Mariner fan isn't going to be for the casuals, And again, there's a lot of people that were in the room early in the game that are no longer here, And then all of a sudden, they ended up turning back the game on. Oh shit, we're at 9-4. Yeah, we more than likely aren't going to come back and win, But again, again, baseball is crazy. You never, it's never over until it's finally over. And the umps now are having a discussion, but that definitely looked like it was an intentional by Hauser. Get his ass out of there. And Dom is pissed. All right, both dugouts have been warned. It's like, bro, you're up 9-4. But again, it's like when you plunk someone not on purpose, Kirby, and then you get later in the game, you end up plunking a guy in the same spot. Try to make it not as obvious, my guy. Next up is Mitch Garver. I mean, you could have literally hit him in any other spot. And I don't want Dom to get hit in the head, but you could have hit him in the leg or the knee or the foot, you know, but hitting him in the small of the back in the exact spot. Come on, man. And it's not like, you know, Hauser has been close to hitting anybody all day and he hasn't been walking anybody. And then all of a sudden, magically, he hits a guy in the back. Okay. Bad blood between the Mariners and the Rays now moving forward. 0-1 pitch. In there for a strike outside of the zone. No balls and 2 strikes to Mitch Garver. Come on, Mitch. Nine 4 Rays in the top of the 7th with a runner at first and 2 outs. 0-2 pitch, low and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Hauser to Garver. Yeah, especially after Dom got thrown out yesterday with Dan Wilson and whatnot. And, you know, we usually don't have too many beefs with teams, you know. Like, we've fought with the Angels before, you know, and obviously we got bad blood with the Astros. You know, there's been times where it's gotten heated with the Rangers. Not so much with the Athletics, you know. But every once in a while, there'll be something that comes up that, you know, us Mariner fans will remember, and we'll hang on to that, keep it in our back pocket for the future. And then if a situation comes up down the road, you know, maybe that's what this team needs is a fight, you know, to kind of spark the fucking swagger and the energy. Obviously, we don't want, like, Julio or Cal to get fucking suspended or anything like that, you know, but like in hockey where you have like an enforcer, you know, a guy that doesn't play that much that just starts to stir trouble, you know, like we need one of those for the Mariners. And obviously we know Haniger and a few other guys that were on the team a couple years back, you know, they had no problem scrapping if needed. And obviously losing Haniger for a few games isn't going to, you know, cost us anything. Pitch is low and away. 3 balls and 2 strikes from Hauser to Garver. It's like in Letterkenny. If anyone has watched that show, fantastic show. And Shoresy, you know, if you end up wanting to watch a funny Canadian comedy, watch those. Very, very good show. Lots of drinking beer, a lot of fist fights, and a lot of funny moments. Top of the 7th, 9-4 Rays. Hauser on the mound, Garver in the box with a full count. And big swing and a miss. Yeah, no, we wouldn't want to go up. No, we wouldn't want to go up 10-9 and Munoz blowing the save. We wouldn't want that. That would be terrible. And down goes Garver. And that is out number 3. Yeah, we learned our lesson with Victor Robles with that. But again, you know, if any of us would have had that happen to us, you know, imagine being in AAA and you're already recovering from an injury and then you get hit 5 times in 15 plate appearances. You know, at some point you're going to fucking lose it. And then that Estes, you know, was already targeting him from last year on the A's. So it's like, for whatever reason, Estes had bad blood against Victor. And honestly, you know, I know a lot of people were angry, you know, for Victor doing what he did. I'm not. You know, I think I would have reacted the same way, and I think a lot of fans would. Now, is it the right thing to do? No, it's not right to throw the bat. But is it okay for pitchers to throw at guys' heads and then they don't get reprimanded for that? You know, again, there's a lot of bias, you know, that's protecting the pitchers like they protect the quarterbacks in the NFL. But what about the hitters, you know? And at some point, you know, someone, you know, and Victor is not a dirty player, you know, and sometimes it's those guys that are kind of chill and kind of quiet. Those are the ones that you got to worry about. Because, again, when they blow up, you know, and when they're normally chill and calm, those are the ones that end up causing a ruckus that you have to worry about, because those are the ones that will explode, not the, you know, hotheads that get mad every single game. So, but I'm definitely excited for Robles to come back, and we're definitely going to need him in that Atlanta series. So let's see who's up next here for the Rays. Next up for the Rays, 1 for 2 with 2 runs and a base on ball. First baseman Bob Seymour. Batting second, 3 for 4 with a run, left fielder Chandler Simpson. And batting third, 4 for 4 with a run, Yandy Diaz. I mean, you're never going to see Chandler go fucking 3 for 4. Yandy going 4 for 4. Give me a break. And Leo Rivas is in the game. Yes! Leo's at third. Oh, he's at first base. Taking over for... Rivas is in at third. Yes. There we go. I mean, finally reward a guy for playing well. I mean, he's a guy that can bunt. He can play defense. He can hit singles. He hit his first career home run 2 days ago when we were down 10-0. I mean, those are the guys that you want in, you know? And hopefully we'll see Harry Ford in the Atlanta series. I mean, it can't get any worse than what we see out of Mitch Garver, right? Harry's a better hitter, a better defender. You know, Garver can't throw anybody out from the knees. Harry can. You know, give a guy a shot, you know? At some point, you know, Garver won't be on this team as well as Luis Castillo and a few others. Sauce on the mound. Seymour in the box. 1-1 pitch. Right down the middle. Gets the strike call there on Seymour. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Sauce to Seymour. One-two pitch, big swing and a miss, and a nice punch out there by Sauce, who's one of the worst players on the team, but ends up getting Bob out, and we'll take that, and that is 1 away. Next up is Chandler Simpson. And it kind of makes you wonder if they would have stuck with Bizzardo for 2 or 3 innings instead of, you know, throwing Emerson Hancock in. You know, what if we're only down 6-4 instead of 9-4, you know? Makes you kind of wonder the decisions that were made. But one thing is clear, Emerson Hancock can't pitch. 9 runs, 17 hits for the Rays. 4 runs, 4 hits for the Mariners. But at least we're not at 0. So now they're waiting for the proper time to start him. You know, they're not going to just put him in as a guy to come into the game. You know, I think they're waiting to, you know, potentially use him to start him at catcher. But throw to first. Grounds out to the shortstop, and that is 2 away. But, you know, at some point, you're going to have to play him. Next up, 4 for 4, Yandy Diaz. Better not go 5 for 5. I mean, what is he doing? Putting up Ichiro numbers. First pitch from Sauce to Diaz. Takes a strike looking on the corner, 0-1 count. Go, baby. Oh, 1 pitch, low and away. 1 ball and 1 strike from Sauce to Diaz. Yeah, but Wilson doesn't really know what he's doing. It's the first time him managing, you know, ever in his career. So, you know, he's still trying to figure it out on the fly, and it shows. But sometimes you got to have like a stat and analytic guy in your ear letting you know what's going to give you the best shot, you know, and maybe what he thinks is the best move ain't the best move. You know, you got to be able to have, you know, those people that know the game, you know, and you got to be able to reward guys when they're playing well. 1-2 pitch, high and inside, 2 balls and 2 strikes from Sauce to Diaz. And Diaz with a 5 for 5 night. Wow, what am I watching? Ichiro all over again. No, Ichiro wouldn't make a good manager. You know, he's better off, you know, helping the team out. You know, he already shows up to the ballpark in Seattle. You know, I believe he's got a home in Seattle with his wife and dog and a home in Japan. You know, but he's better just as a, you know, a consultant, you know, someone helping, you know, with the different approach with hitting. Same thing with like Ken Griffey Jr. and Randy Johnson, even though those guys are professional photographers now. But, you know, none of those guys, you know, would be good managers. If anyone could maybe be a better manager than Dan Wilson, maybe Edgar Martinez. You know, obviously right now he's, you know, kind of one of those guys that's like a hitting, you know, coach with Seitzer and whatnot. But, you probably would get similar results with Dan Wilson with Edgar. Edgar would just be a little bit more likable because of what he did in his career as a player, primarily at DH. But, there's not very many good, managers that are in MLB, like 5 out of 30. So it's not easy to find one. And quite a few of the managers are former players. And, being a manager is not easy. Bottom of the 7th, runner at first with 2 outs. 0-2 pitch to Brandon Lowe. Big swing and a miss, and a great performance out of Sauce, who normally is one of the worst players on the team. Nice job. End of the 7th inning, 9-4 Rays. Way to get out Brandon Lowe. Let's see who's up next here for the Mariners, and let's see if we can get to 6 before this game is over. Try to get 1 in the 8th and 1 in the 9th if possible. And maybe we'll be able to get even more than that in this particular inning if we're lucky. Next up, 0 for 1 with a run into base on ball. Shortstop J.P. Crawford, give me a single. Batting second, 0 for 3 with 2 Ks. Left fielder Randy Arosarena, give me a single. And then batting third, 1 for 3 with a run, RBI and a K. Give me a 3-run blast to get us to 7. Big dumper, Cal Rollin. Let's go M's. But that's how you end up getting to 6 or 7. You either get a single here or a single here, and then you either get a 2-run blast or a 3-run blast here. So, but the chance of JP and Randy getting a hit is probably not likely. So you might get a hit out of 1 out of the 2, and then we just got to hope that we can get this guy right here to do this. And then if we can have that, then we'll be at 6 or 7. And I think for us Mariner fans, it's frustrating losing, but it's a lot better than being down fucking 9-0 or having the game being 12-0 right now or even worse. So. Yeah, but Hancock ain't it, man. I mean, obviously Kirby and Wu and Gilbert and Castillo and Miller. The starting pitching again. They brought up the graphic. At one point in between July and the beginning of August, we were the number 2, pitching staff. But now we're bottom 3 in every category. So no matter who it is, And then a lot of these games are also coincidentally on the road. So, be much better if we had the rest of our games this month at home, but only a few more series on the road, thank God. First pitch, JP, low and away. Mason Englert in the game there for the Rays. 1-0 count. Come on, JP. One-0 pitch, high and away with the 4-seam fastball. 2 balls and no strikes to J.P. Crawford. Come on, baby. Let's go, J.P. We know you can play defense, but we need that bat to come alive. And it would have been nicer if we would have kept Naylor in the game. We could have used his bat and his defense instead of having Luke Raley come in so early in the matchup. Maybe the game would have been at 5 or 6 at this point, if Naylor continued to play. I mean, is it possible that Naylor would have done nothing? Of course, but I think a lot of us would rather have had Naylor than Luke Raley. 2-1 pitch, fouled off right down the middle. 2 balls and 2 strikes to J.P. Crawford. Oh, yeah. I mean, he put us in an 8-0 hole. There's no doubt about that. Yeah, it reminds me exactly what happened to Logan Gilbert on the road against the Phillies. Hit after hit after hit, and it didn't really matter what pitch was thrown. In the box, outside of the box, it didn't matter. We just absolutely got destroyed. And luckily, we've only had a couple games like that where we've gotten destroyed. But at least in this matchup, we've cut the lead almost in half. With a big 4-run inning there in the 6th. 2-2 pitch fouled off low and away by J.P. Crawford. Top of the 8th inning, down by 5. 9-4 Rays lead. Englert on the mound, Crawford in the box. Two-two pitch, high and away. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to JP Crawford. Come on, JP. Find a way to get to first. So that way we potentially could get a 3-run blast by Cal. Or a 2-run blast, depending on what JP and Randy do here. JP, slow dribbler, throw to first, and that is 1 away. All right, hopefully Randy will be the guy that gets a base hit here. See if we can get a single out of Randy. And then we're going to need a 2-run blast by Cal, and it'll be 9-6. Single, double by Randy. 2-run blast by Cal. Let's make it happen. Come on, sports gods. If we're not going to win, let's make it a little bit more interesting here late. Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have the luxury of doing that because most of the guys in the pen are just as bad. If we actually had, guys in the pen that were playing well lately, Brash, Bizzardo, Spire, Mooney, then, maybe they could make that luxury, switch, but when the bullpen has been kind of bad also, you can't pull a guy in the second inning. Got to let him go at least 3-4 innings before you make the move, unfortunately. 0-1 pitch is high and inside. 1 ball and 1 strike from Englert to Arosarena. 1-1 pitch. Randy, slow dribbler. Throw to first. And absolute no hustle from Randy. Arosarena, 2 away. All right, now we're going to need a solo dinger by Cal Raleigh. Unless he ends up getting a single himself, and then we end up seeing Julio hit another home. Come on, Cal. Come on, Julio. Yeah, Penn has been good today, but we can't say that every single game, though. First pitch is high and away with Big Dumper, 1-0 count. .0 pitch, fouled off. 1 ball and 1 strike to Big Dumper, Cal Raleigh. That he's the only diva that we have on the team. It's like I don't understand why he doesn't put full effort all the time. Like Julio does. Victor Robles does. Like in Randy's mind, does he think he's the best player? Does he think he's like a superstar, and that he needs like special treatment, or something? Like, I just don't understand, and I don't have respect for players that don't show the hustle and they don't try. It's like I love the home runs that he puts up for us, and the singles and the doubles and what he does in the box, but I could think of about 100 players I would rather have in that left field than him. He's definitely a one-sided player, and I'm happy he's on the team, but I just that defense really frustrates me in left field. The lack of effort, the lack of just trying. Pitches outside, 2 balls and 2 strikes to Big Dumper, Cal Raleigh. Come on, Cal. 2-2 pitch. And down Cal Raleigh goes. Strikes out swinging, and that is out number 3. Nice job by Englert there. Let's see who's up next here for the Rays in the bottom of the 8th. And we're way behind the 8 ball on the likes. And I know we were down 9-0, but if you haven't hit the like button yet, please do. Let's try to get as close to 100 as possible. We're at 68, 32 to go. Next up, 2 for 4 with 2 runs, 2 RBIs, and a K, Junior Caminero. Batting second, 2 for 3 with 2 runs and an RBI, Josh Lowe. And batting third, 2 for 4 with an RBI, center fielder Jake Mangum. Right hands up, let's go M's. Yeah, Sauce pretty good for a guy that's got an ERA of 8.03. It's like crazy. Bizzardo, Hancock, and Sauce did better than Kirby, but again, like I said, it just hasn't been great for our starting pitching lately. I don't even know if really Randy necessarily needs to mature. I think someone just needs to fucking call him out. Like, get the iPad, point at it, at his performance, have like a replay of him not hustling and say, what the fuck is this? And then just bench him, until it improves, and then once, obviously he gets the memo that he's not playing in left field until he starts hustling every day, and he'll get the message. But until that happens, you're going to get that same type of player, more times than not, which is frustrating. Astros got Rangers, Blue Jays, Braves. They got those 3 teams there. They still got Sauce out there here in the bottom of the 8th. Because I guarantee if, they ended up pointing at, his performance, he would at least be embarrassed seeing it on film if he hasn't seen it already. I highly doubt that Randy watches film, But somebody needs to, call him out. Like, this is fucking unacceptable, dude. And you're a really good player. That's what makes it even worse. If you're like a scrub, then it's one thing. But when you've been an all-star and you're like an all-star caliber player, and you have so much laziness, running to first or running to a ground ball in your area in left field, it's, you're a fucking professional. Play like it. 1-1 pitch, high and away. 2 balls and 1 strike from Sauce to Caminero. 2-1 pitch, slow dribbler. Rivas is there. Throw to first. Beautiful defense by Rivas. And again, 1 away. Great job, Leo. Did a little 360 there, too. Love it. Down goes Caminero. Next up, right fielder Josh Lowe. Let's go, baby. Nice job, Leo. Next up is Josh Lowe. First pitch, takes a strike, looking high and away. 0-1 count.
Oh my gosh.
1-1 pitch, fouled off. With that sinker low and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Sauce to Lowe. Oh, Cactus Jack is still here. He's still here. Stacks with the racks with the Cactus Jack, and then the train whistle. Big swing and a miss. Sauce playing really well. This is the best that Sauce has played in years. 2 away. You normally don't see a guy that's got an ERA of 8 playing like this, but we'll take it. Like we're in the upside down, like Sauce and Carlos Vargas are playing great, and George Kirby, Brian Wu, and Logan Gilbert, Castillo and Miller are playing terrible. Like it's like Stranger Things. We're like in the upside down. Make it make sense. Next up is Jake Mangum. First pitch is low and into the dirt. 1-0 count. But I'm proud of the team of battling back and getting to 4. It easily could have been one of those games where we lost, 9-0, 10-0, 12-0. And, it's nice that we at least got some momentum, at least in 1 inning. Mangum, hard hit into left field. Randy is there. Nice single there from Mangum. Next up is catcher Hunter Fiducia. 2 for 3 today, having himself a good day, former Dodger. Again, when the Mariners have the day off tomorrow, I'll be doing the Cowboys and Eagles for the NFL kickoff for the live stream tomorrow. And then we'll be doing Mariners and Braves Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then on Saturday, I'll be doing Ducks and Mariners. And Sunday, Mariners and obviously Sunday Night Football with the Ravens and the Bills. So it's going to be a jam-packed, next few days. And it's going to be a grind, but it'll definitely be worth it. 0-1 pitch, takes a strike looking right down the middle. No balls and 2 strikes from Sauce to Fiducia. Yeah, they pulled Naylor early in the matchup for Rayleigh. I don't know really why. Maybe just because we were losing 9-0 and, trying to get a little bit more playing time for some of the other guys. But 0-2 pitch, low and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Sauce to Fiducia. 1-2 pitch, Check swing. Did he go? And he does. And there we go. Retiring the side. Sauce. Okay. Too much sauce. All right, we're down to our last 3. But that's the best that I've seen Sauce pitch, honestly, in years. And we'll take that. Nice job, Sauce. Normally, we don't even bring up photos of you or Carlos Vargas, but way to bring the electricity, my guy. Fantastic. All right, let's see who's up next here for the Mariners and see if we have any shot of doing anything special here. Next up, 1 for 3 with a run and 3 RBIs. Had a 3-run jack that we called here on the channel. Could we get Julio to do something big here? Let's go J-Rod. Let's go Julio. Batting second, getting an opportunity to hit for the first time tonight, Leo Rivas. Got his first career home run in game number 1 when we were down 10-0 for us to lose 10-2. Let's go Leo. Should have been on this team months ago. And batting third, 0 for 3 with 2 Ks, third baseman, good vibes only, Eugenio Suarez. Trident's up. Let's go M's. Like, sub, donate, comment, share. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. Help us get to 100 likes, 100 on the dono train, and 5 to 15 subs. Shout out to just another Phil all day. Demando, appreciate you. All right, come on, Julio. 28 home runs for Julio. He's only 2 away from 30, which he will get, but obviously before the season ends. You know, somewhere in that 30 to 35 range, more than likely. But if he can have a couple multi-homer games, you know, he would have a chance to even peak 35, but first pitch to Julio, high and inside, 1-0 count. Englert on the mound, Julio in the box. Come on, J-Rod. You know, even if we're not going to come back and win this game, you just want each individual to play the best of their ability to add to their stat line, you know, not only for this individual game, but for the year. That one goes into foul territory into the 10th row. Nice souvenir for that fan. I mean, I got a Julio foul ball in his rookie year when they played the Royals and Bobby Witt Jr. I'll never forget it. Top of the 9th inning, 9-4 Rays. Englert on the mound, Julio in the box. 1-1 pitch. And Julio crushes it into right field. Foul. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Englert to Julio. Come on, J-Rod. Single, double, triple, home run, anything positive. 1-2 pitch. Good eye, Julio. If that was at the beginning of the year, that would have been strike 3. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Julio Rodriguez. I mean, realistically, if we keep playing like this, we're only going to win 1 game out of 3 against the Braves. But if we can win game 1, you know, maybe we'll win 2 out of 3 if things get better. But Julio pops up. Seymour is there, and that is 1 away. But obviously getting swept here by the Tampa Bay Rays, it is a possibility that we could get swept by the Braves as well. But, you know, we're going to be shooting for 2 wins. But realistically, we'll probably win 1 out of 3 unless we can take, game 1 and win that one. All right, next up is Leo Rivas. But then after that, we come back home. And that'll be something that we desperately need. We need to hear the fans cheering for the players. You know, again, things have not been going our way lately, for sure. Rivas with the bunt attempt and foul. Let's go, Leo. 0-1 pitch, low and away to Leo Rivas. 1 ball and 1 strike from Englert to Rivas. 0% chance of sweeping Atlanta. And, and even though the Cardinals aren't the greatest team and we're going to be at home in that series, sweeping anybody is totally out of the question, the way that we've been playing lately. Even if we're at home, we have to be shooting for 2 out of 3, in those type of series. So, hell, we might not sweep anyone the rest of the year. Realistically, even the series that we do have at home. Pitching has not been good lately. Hard to sweep a team when your starting pitching and bullpen aren't going to be that great lately. So, we're still able to hit. But again, if you end up getting down 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and have to play catch up more times than not, it's, hard to win. 3-1 pitch. Popped up behind the plate. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes from Englert to Rivas. Eddie Murray. That would be an amazing foul ball to have. Yeah, I got a Kike Hernandez foul ball, I got a Julio foul ball, and I got an Aaron Judge ball during the 2022 62 home run season. So, but I've also gotten 2 AAA balls when I was 10. So I'm a honey badger. If it's going to be close, I'm going to get it. I'm not going to knock any kids over or anything like that. But, I got pretty good awareness when I go to games. I've only been to like 9 Mariner games or 10, and I've already gotten 3 balls. So, I have a knack for it. And Rivas with the walk. Yeah, but you can't ask for a sweep when we've been playing terrible, my guy. The only way you're going to get a sweep is if you're playing well, and we haven't been playing good ball lately. First pitch to Gino, fouled off, 0-1 count. Yeah, I know you want to sweep some teams. I want to win the fucking Powerball for $1 billion, But just because we want something doesn't mean that we're going to get it. But hopefully I do. I could definitely use that billion. And yeah, we had 3 winners of 50,000 in Oregon on Monday's drawing. Hell, I could definitely use 50K. Let me tell you. 0-1 pitch fouled off. No balls and 2 strikes to Eugenio Suarez. Oh-2 pitch, high and inside, 1 ball and 2 strikes to Eugenio Suarez. Yeah, but you have to be realistic. You can be a real Mariner fan, but really, like, the only time you're going to really sweep people, like at the beginning of the year when we won 9 consecutive series in a row in that window, then that would be appropriate to say, hey, we might sweep some teams. But other than that, there's not really been a moment since then that we could say, hey, we might actually sweep somebody. Because it's like we play down to the competition. We play better against really good or elite teams, but we haven't really proven that we can even, win a game, let alone win 3 in a row or 4 in a row. So you got to wait for the team to be able to get hot again, and they may or may not, the rest of the way. We'll hope for the best, but again, you have to be realistic. Double play attempt, and that is the game. Brutal series here for the Mariners, getting swept by the Rays, playing down to the competition, but at least we got that 3-run blast, by Julio Rodriguez is to get us to, that 9-4 score. But again, the day off tomorrow for the Mariners. I'll be live for the Cowboys and the Eagles. It's around 5:30 Pacific, so that'll be exciting. Definitely looking forward to that for the first NFL game for the NFL kickoff for 2025. And then we'll be doing Braves and Mariners on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I'll be mixing in a little bit of Oregon Ducks on Saturday with the Mariners, as well as some NFL action on Sunday for the Bills and the Ravens for Sunday Night Football. So love you guys, and I appreciate you guys very, very much. And again, we will be live tomorrow for the Cowboys and the Eagles, and then back at it for the Mariners on Friday. Love you guys, and I appreciate you guys very much. And I got one question for you. Who talk sports like us? Your boy Ryan, Northwest Sports Fanatics. Tridents up, go M's, and I'm out.